In our headlines on this Friday, January 24th, here in South Korea. Prosecutors are preparing to question President Yoon Suk-yeol over his brief imposition of martial law in early December, as anti-corruption investigators have asked him to indict the president for insurrection and abuse of power. Meanwhile, in his first address to a global audience following his return to the White House, US President Donald Trump called on companies worldwide to make their products in America or face hefty tariffs. And back here in South Korea, the Lunar New Year falls on January 29th this year, but the extended holiday begins this weekend, and the journey back home to celebrate Seollal with family and hometowns is underway. We start with the prosecutor's probe into allegations of insurrection by the president in light of his short-lived martial law on the night of December 3rd. For details, I have Arirang's news correspondent Choi Min-jung standing by live at the prosecutor's office here in capital Seoul. Min-jung, welcome. Let's begin with talk about a further extension of the president's detention as sought by prosecutors.
Right, Sunny, the prosecution does not have much time as the detention deadline is approaching as early as the 26th of January. And because of the tight schedule, we have just learned moments ago that the investigation team has already requested with the Seoul Central District Court yesterday an extension of President Yoon's detention until February 6th. If approved, that would allow more time for the prosecutors to investigate. Under such a plan, the prosecution is expected to make every effort to interrogate President Yoon as much as possible. They also plan to continue the investigation throughout the weekend and even during the upcoming Lunar New Year holiday. Considering past cases of former presidents who are detained, prosecutors will likely visit President Yoon at the Seoul Detention Center for questioning rather than summoning him to the prosecution office due to security and confidentiality concerns. Previously, when former presidents Chun Do-han, Roh Tae-woo, Park Geun-hye, and Lee Myung-bak were detained, the prosecution conducted their investigations at the prison. The prosecution is reportedly only willing to question Yoon in person, given the gravity of the case.
Right, Min-jung, and what has been the response from his defense team thus far?
Right. The question is whether Yoon will respond to the prosecution's investigation. President Yoon's legal team said nothing has been decided yet, but did urge the prosecution to comply with proper legal procedures, unlike what they call the illegal actions of the CIO. His lawyer said yesterday that his team will decide on whether to cooperate with the prosecution's potential visit to the detention center after consulting with the president. He added that many factors, including the prosecution's approach, still need to be considered. Just to give you a brief background, the prosecution's special investigation team took back the case yesterday after the anti-corruption agency formally requested that the prosecution take over the investigation. The case was handed over earlier than planned due to President Yoon's refusal to cooperate with the CIO. That's all I have for now, but I'll be back with more on our later newscast. Back to you, Sunny.
All right, Min-jung, thank you for the latest on the probe by prosecutors into the insurrection charges against the president. Moving on, acting President Choi Sang-mok has called for a thorough review of the country's response strategy to the Trump administration's America First campaign. Now, the call came early on this Friday during a roundtable discussion on global economic matters with relevant government officials. According to the Finance Ministry, this latest session of talks is the third of its kind and takes place just 3 days after the last. The overall gist of the agenda is navigating the U.S. government's protectionist policies. Elsewhere, in his first address to a global audience following his return to the White House, U.S. President Donald Trump called on companies worldwide to make their products in America or face hefty tariffs. Our business correspondent Moon Hae-ryan reports.
Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth.
U.S. President Donald Trump emphasized his stance on tariffs once again in front of the global elite at the annual World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, as he followed up his push to bring manufacturing into the U.S. with a threat to impose levies for foreign goods.
But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff.
Speaking in a video call on Thursday at his first major appearance since his inauguration earlier this week, Trump went on to describe how these tariffs will add up to trillions of dollars to strengthen the U.S. economy. This follows an earlier announcement that he plans to impose tariffs of 25% on Mexico and Canada starting February, alongside a 10% tariff for China. During the rest of his 45-minute speech, he went on to lay out more of his vision for the U.S. economy, which includes lowering the corporate tax to 15% from the current 21%, lowering energy costs by pressuring OPEC, and lowering interest rates in turn. And in a panel discussion following his speech, he addressed the European Union for its substantial trade imbalance with the United States and condemned their regulatory actions against American tech giants such as Apple, Google, and Facebook. His comments spurred a chain of reactions. Oil prices fell, the greenback showed fluctuations, and U.S. stocks rose. It also inspired commentary from attendees, who called for a measured response to Trump's tariff policies, cautioning against hasty retaliatory actions. The Director General of the World Trade Organization called for careful analysis to examine the economic impact to gauge whether they are excessive, and warned that retaliatory tariffs can have disastrous effects on the global economy. The European Union's Economic Commissioner echoed this sentiment, while some attendees showed a more nuanced understanding of Trump's approach to tariffs by viewing it as a bargaining tool. Trump also advocated for a reduction in nuclear arms and urged for global cooperation at the forum, stating that he had discussed the matter with Russian President Vladimir Putin prior to the 2020 U.S. presidential election. He revealed that Putin had been receptive to the idea of nuclear disarmament and that China would have joined the initiative, warning that Beijing is rapidly expanding its nuclear arsenal and could catch up with the U.S. in a few years. 문혜련, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, South Korea's top delegate to the U.S. has reaffirmed intentions to work with Washington to rid North Korea of nuclear weapons. The remarks were made in response to concerns here over Mr. Trump's labeling of the regime as a nuclear power. Our Lee Seung-jae has details.
South Korea's ambassador to the United States, Choi Sang-mok, said Thursday that Seoul and Washington will maintain the goal of North Korea's denuclearization in the new Donald Trump administration. In a monthly press meeting, Seoul's top envoy to Washington emphasized South Korea's focus on reinforcing policy coordination with the Trump administration. In order to remain on the same page on North Korean nuclear policy, Cho said the South Korean government will strengthen its coordination with the U.S., especially given the North's participation in the war in Ukraine. The ambassador also stressed Seoul's priority of strengthening the credibility of the U.S.'s extended deterrence commitment. This includes the mobilization of the full range of its military capabilities, including nuclear weapons, in order to defend South Korea. Cho added that Seoul will continue to ensure the combined South Korea-U.S. defense posture while maintaining the Seoul-Washington-Tokyo trilateral cooperation. His comments come amid growing concerns that the U.S. may be changing its policy on North Korea's nuclear program. On the day of his inauguration on Monday, U.S. President Donald Trump described North Korea as a nuclear power. Also, Trump's defense chief nominee Pete Hegseth used the same term to describe the regime. U.S. officials have long refrained from using such terms, as it could be seen as Washington's recognition of North Korea's nuclear weapons program. However, the term is different from the nuclear weapon states often used to describe countries like the U.S., U.K., France, Russia, and China. They're officially recognized as countries that possess nuclear weapons in the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
And while there is no indication of an imminent provocation by North Korea, the regime is prepared for an intercontinental ballistic missile launch or a satellite mission at any time. This is according to South Korean military officials. Our Kim Bo-kyung reports.
No immediate signs of North Korean missile launches have been detected since Trump's inauguration, but preparations for a spy satellite or an ICBM continue. This is the recent assessment made by the Joint Chiefs of Staff on North Korea released on Friday. Regarding Pyongyang's potential missile launches, the regime had earlier this month already fired 2 missiles before Trump was sworn in as the new U.S. president. And the JCS says the North appears to be ready to launch short-range ballistic and cruise missiles at any time. Yet, as Trump has delivered a message to resume talks, one expert says it is unlikely that Pyongyang will be highly provocative.
In response to President Trump's conciliatory message, it is unlikely that North Korea will conduct a high-intensity display of force, such as an ICBM launch.
Meanwhile, Pyongyang has been dismantling and removing the materials from the Kaesong Industrial Complex's Comprehensive Support Center for over a month, since mid-December last year. Considering that North Korea had shown similar activities before demolishing the Inter-Korean Liaison Office in June 2020, the same expert again says the possibility of utterly blowing up the complex would take some time.
North Korea has already dismantled symbolic South Korean buildings and facilities in the Kumgangsan mountain area and destroyed the Inter-Korean Liaison Office. Given that it is unclear what benefit would come from destroying the Kaesong Industrial Complex, they could dismantle, but it would take time to demolish.
When it comes to North Korea sending troops to Russia, the South's military expects Pyongyang to accelerate preparations for additional deployments, with around 4 months already having passed since the first troop deployment. It is likely, given the fact that the battle nearing its end could get fierce, but the experts said the relationship between Russia and the U.S. could bring a change in Kim Jong-un's decision. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
In other news, a fresh and fast-moving wildfire is spreading through Los Angeles County. According to local authorities, the Hughes fire, which was first detected Wednesday morning, had consumed over 10,000 acres of land by Thursday afternoon. However, no structures have been destroyed. Now, this latest blaze comes just over 2 weeks after the catastrophic Palisades and Eaton fires in the LA area. Korea is looking ahead to an extended Lunar New Year holiday starting this weekend. And for those seeking an early start to the journey back home for Seollal celebrations with family and friends in their hometowns, today is travel day. Now, that being said, I have my colleague Song Yoo-jin joining me live from a major transport hub here in Seoul. Yoo-jin, welcome. So what's the latest on the hustle and bustle where you are?
Right, Sunny. So currently I'm at Seoul Station, which is the busiest train station here in Korea. And as you just mentioned, today is the eve of the start of the 6-day-long Seollal, or Korean Lunar New Year holiday here in Korea, if we include the upcoming weekend. Now, for a bit more of a context, Seollal is one of the two biggest major holidays here in the country, with the other one being Chuseok, the Korean version of Thanksgiving. And that being said, this means that we're going to see a lot of people heading to their hometowns or traveling elsewhere. Now, while cars still remain the most common form of transport when it comes to domestic travel, train stations like this, Sunny, really offer a clear snapshot of what the holiday travel rush is like here in Korea. Now, as of now, the station isn't overly crowded, but we're seeing more people entering the station, carrying their luggage and baggage, and we expect a significant influx of travelers after 6 p.m. when most people will have finished work. And according to the latest data from the country's state-run railway operator, as of 3 p.m., more than 76% of nearly 340,000 available train tickets from this train station have already been booked. And earlier, I had a chance to speak with some people on how excited they are for this upcoming long holiday. Take a listen.
I want to relax with my family. I've been quite busy leading up to this holiday, so I want to visit cafes and travel with them.
Right now, I'm living with a host family, so I'm thinking maybe with my host family, maybe we'll make some like tteokguk, or I think maybe we may vacation a little bit outside of Seoul, maybe to Everland. I'll see what happens. But I also have some friends here, so I think I may hang out with them as well.
Right, it's definitely family and friends for most people during Seollal. Now, let's talk about numbers, Yoo-jin. How many people are projected to travel, and when would be ideal?
So every year ahead of the Seollal holiday, the Transport Ministry announces what it calls the Special Transportation Measures Period, which is the period it expects to see the largest volume of traffic. And this year, the period spans 10 days, which starts today, January 24th, up until next Sunday, February 2nd. Now, this could be because if you take next Friday, January 31st off, that means that you'll get to enjoy a 9-day, which is more than a week-long holiday. So during these 10 days, the Korea Transport Institute estimates that more than 34 million people will take to the roads, skies, and other forms of transport. And this is an increase of nearly 8 million when compared to last year, when the Special Transportation Measures period was just 5 days. So if we take a closer look, Sunny, the Institute predicts that Seollal Day itself, which is next Wednesday, will be the busiest in terms of volume, with approximately 6 million people traveling. But it also seems that the days just before and after Seollal Day will be difficult as well to move, as an online survey conducted by the same institute shows that Tuesday morning is the most preferred time for starting trips, while Thursday afternoon, which is the day after Seollal, is expected to be the most popular time for returning home. So to really help ease the burdens of these millions of travelers, motorway tolls will be lifted from Monday to Thursday. And there's also great news if you're traveling by car or by train, because discounts will be offered for train tickets and for snacks at highway rest stops. Now, so this is really something to consider if you're planning a trip during this holiday season. Back to you, Sunny.
I shall keep that in mind. All right, Eugene, thank you for the latest on Seollal travel here in Korea. And Eugene, happy holidays. Meanwhile, lawmakers across the aisle also made their way to major hubs and bus stations, train stations that is, and bus stations on this Friday here in Seoul to meet with travelers as they head home for the Lunar New Year holiday. Members of the ruling People Power Party were at Seoul Station, while their counterparts of the main opposition Democratic Party were at Seoul Express Bus Terminal. During their brief interactions with members of the public, rival lawmakers pledged to promote issues related to the cost of living for ordinary people. And a number of Buddhist temples nationwide are offering unique overnight experiences to coincide with the Lunar New Year holiday. Our Yoon has a glimpse.
A unique sanctuary nestled in the heart of Seoul City, Choi Temple is offering a special temple stay for the first time during the Seollal holidays, so participants can experience the holiday's traditions.
At Choi, we introduced dumpling making as part of our Temple Stay program to bring back traditional holiday customs. Nowadays, with more people living in nuclear families or traveling abroad, it's hard to experience the warmth and togetherness of the holidays. We wanted to create a space where families or individuals spending the holidays alone could come together, even for just one night.
Monk Sane shared that through activities like making dumplings, eating rice cakes, and sharing tea, she hopes to foster a warm sense of family and connection. This is the purpose behind many special programs, including a Lunar New Year ceremony and folk games. The cultural core of Korean Buddhism is hosting the Seollal Temple Stay at over 20 temples nationwide from January 22nd to January 30th.
I came here to clear my mind because I've been feeling stressed at work.
I'm having a lot of fun. It's my first time making dumplings and I'm really enjoying it.
Events like this bring out each person's unique personality. Some participants express their New Year's wishes through the dumplings they made.
This dumpling is called the sun dumpling. I made it to symbolize the rising sun of the new year, wishing for a bright year ahead.
To start the new year meaningfully, we decided to join a temple stay before the semester begins.
As they taste the dumplings they've made, along with healthy, vegetarian, and environmentally friendly temple food, participants gain a deeper appreciation for the effort that went into preparing these dishes. No Seollal celebration is complete without enjoying a bowl of tteokguk or rice cake soup. From preparation to consumption, every step in the temple is a daily practice. Practicing the performing of 108 vows, which symbolizes the purification of 108 temptations, participants have time to reflect. The evening at the Choi Temple is the perfect time to focus on the present moment. This Seollal holiday, why not take a break from your smartphone and immerse yourself into seasonal traditions by experiencing a temple stay with friends or family. Yoon, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you the latest stories from around the globe. In the U.S. on Thursday, District Judge John Coffiner in Seattle put a 2-week temporary halt on President Donald Trump's executive order aimed at ending birthright citizenship, calling it blatantly unconstitutional. Trump's order sought to deny citizenship to children born in the U.S. to non-citizen parents. The order challenges the 14th Amendment, which grants citizenship to anyone born in America, with a few minor exceptions. 22 states and several immigrant rights groups are challenging Trump's executive order, arguing that it would strip many individuals of their right to citizenship. The Justice Department plans to appeal Judge Coffiner's decision, asserting that the order correctly interprets the Constitution. The case, which represents an early setback for the Trump administration's immigration agenda, could potentially end up at the Supreme Court for a final decision. Also in the U.S., Purdue Pharma and its owners, the Sackler family, on Thursday agreed to a $7.4 billion settlement to resolve numerous lawsuits alleging their role in the U.S. opioid crisis through the marketing of their product OxyContin. Under the settlement terms, the Sacklers will pay $6.5 billion over 15 years and give up their ownership of Purdue Pharma. An additional $900 million will come from Purdue itself. The agreement follows the U.S. Supreme Court's rejection of a $6 billion settlement that would have granted the Sacklers immunity from future civil lawsuits. The new settlement does not provide such immunity. The OxyContin crisis led to hundreds of thousands of deaths and addictions in the U.S. since the drug's release in 1996. The Sackler family continues to deny any wrongdoing. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning announced on Thursday that recent tests of seawater samples collected near Japan's Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant revealed no abnormalities. The first independent test of samples since October 2024 was conducted as part of an agreement between China and Japan, allowing stakeholders to perform independent sampling and monitoring under the framework of the International Atomic Energy Agency. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson noted the limits of the significance of a single test result, and China has not yet hinted at lifting its ban on Japanese seafood imports, which was imposed in August 2023. In Australia, Sydney's Royal Botanic Gardens saw the blooming of a corpse flower, or Putrescia, for the first time in 15 years on Thursday. The rare flower, which is native to Sumatra, Indonesia, is known for its pungent odor, often compared to rotting flesh. The occasion attracted over 20,000 visitors, as the flower's bloom is a significant event due to its rarity and brief 24-hour lifespan. Visitors endured lines exceeding 2 hours to witness the rare spectacle, and some described the scent as being like a dead animal. Choi Ji-hee, Arirang News.
A day before the Lunar New Year holiday, the ultrafine dust has cleared. There were clear skies in the inland areas today. The weather is also milder than usual, with highs of 9 degrees Celsius in Seoul, as warm as early spring. These milder conditions will continue throughout the weekend. Along the East Coast, there has been rain or snow from the afternoon. It will relieve the dryness there. By tomorrow, up to 15 centimeters of snow is forecast in mountainous areas of Gangwon-do province, and up to 5 centimeters on the east coast of Gangwon-do and the mountainous areas of northeastern parts of Gyeongsang-buk-do province. Tomorrow, Seoul, Gwangju, and Daegu will start off at 0 degrees. Daily highs will move up to around 10 degrees in most parts of the country tomorrow. More rain or snow is expected on next Monday and Tuesday across the country. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Right, those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Coming up right after this break is our daily panel session. Do stay with us, and thank you for now.